So I got a viewer question about the JVC 170U. I got a viewer who wants to use this for filmmaking. Stay right there. You're going to want to see this. Hi, I'm Mike Turner, your friendly filmmaker, and today we're talking about the JVC 170U. And we're doing it because I got a question from one of the viewers out there, and I'm going to read this question. So bear with me, let me just pull this up. I don't know why I don't have this already pulled up. I apologize. So it says, assuming that you know a little bit more about video cameras than I, any advice you would give a guy like me who shoots his own feature films? The biggest criticism indie filmmakers get is the look, and that's in quotations, of the movie. I know they make resolution as high as 8K without getting into 35mm film. I figured shooting on a 4K cinematic camera like this, and he's referring to the 170U, would give fans the film look, in quotations, that they really want from me. As of right now, I don't see the need to go any higher in resolution, not for what I do. Thanks. Okay. So this question comes from Jahari Nichols. So this one is for you, Jahari. Thank you for the question. It's a real good question. So basically, there's a few things I want to address. First, let's address the 4K, 8K thing you said. So you're just talking simply about resolution, thinking that the film look is coming from the fact that things are of a higher resolution. And that is not true, because if you think about it, 4K has not been around for that long. It's kind of a new phenomenon. So all the films that we've watched in the past, you know, Jurassic Park, Batman's, and all the movies that we've seen, a lot of those weren't shot in 4K. At least I don't think they were. And I know personally from experience, I've shot some films and they weren't 4K, and I've watched them on a big movie screen and they looked excellent. They looked like a real movie, and they were shot in 1080p. So you really don't need 4K to achieve the film look, not at all. So just because the JVC 170U has 4K, that is not going to get you the film look that you're looking for. Another thing to mention about the JVC 170U, you have to remember that that camera has a very small sensor. It's a 1/2 inch sensor. So once your sensor starts to shrink down in size, what happens is you start to lose the ability to create a shallow depth of field. And I would argue that a shallow depth of field is going to give you more of that film look that you're looking for. So a bigger sensor camera is going to give you that more than a smaller sensor camera that has 4K. Also, and let's just stick on the JVC 170U. Yes, I've made a few videos about that camera, and they happen to be very popular. But there's one that's not as popular as the ones that are just reviewing the camera, and that's the one called the JVC 170U, Why I Sold It. It's like no one watches that video for some reason. But yes, I bought the camera, but I sold the camera because as I started to grow as a videographer, I saw that it was not going to work for my purposes. And the reason that it doesn't work for my purposes is because I typically shoot wedding films. And wedding films, just like you said, the brides are looking for that film look. And you're just not going to achieve it with a JVC 170U. And if you do, it's going to be very hard to achieve. Some of the reasons being, because like I said, it has that small sensor, so you don't have that shallow depth of field where things are like really blurry in the background, like right now, how this background is blurry. The JVC 170U can do this, but it's a little harder to achieve than it is with this Canon M50 that I'm shooting with right now. And that's because this has a bigger sensor in it. So basically, the other thing about the JVC 170U is that it really performs really bad in low light situations. And that is one of the major reasons why I sold it, because I always found myself shooting in situations where I needed something that was better in low light, because I can't always control the light. And as soon as you go over like maybe 800 ISO, which I believe on the camera might be, I don't know, I think that's equivalent to maybe like 9 dB of gain. That's it. I mean, your picture starts to look really grainy. So you better light your scene very, very well if you want that camera to look good. And that's talking about lighting your subject, and that's also talking about lighting your background accordingly, because if you don't, you're gonna have a lot of grain. And if you're going for that film look, which I think is, you want that pretty aesthetic. You want it to look clean. You want the detail to look sharp, but not too sharp, but you just want it to look cinematic. I just don't think you're gonna get that with the JVC 170U. And I wish I still had it to do some testing for you. The only thing I would say is if you were gonna buy that camera, yes, I probably would shoot in 4K, because what you could do is shoot in 4K and then scale down to 1080p, and that will crush some of that grainy noise that you're gonna get, and your images are gonna look better. So can you make a film with that? If you're doing a documentary film, I would say yes, because I think you could get away with grainy footage in a documentary more so than you can do in a narrative film. And again, it really depends on what you're doing. You might be able to use the JVC 170U. If your narrative film is something like the Blair Witch Project, yeah, the JVC 170U is going to work for that. And actually, that's putting it down some, because it's really not that bad. But I'm just saying, it really depends on what your story is. Because if you're creating something that has a story where you want it to look really gritty, then the JVC 170U is going to work for you, I think. If you're doing something that's like a sci-fi feature and everything has got to be really sharp detail, great colors, just really crispy looking, I would not use that camera. For the money you're going to pay for it, there's so many other options that are going to give you that film look. Like I said, I'm using the Canon M50 that has a way better image than the JVC 170U, and it's way cheaper. The JVC 170U would be better suited for live event shooting. So if I was shooting news, I would probably use something like the JVC 170U. I think it would be adequate for that. Documentary work, like I said, will be good. Even what you could get away with weddings. If you're shooting outdoor weddings, yes, you could use a JVC 170U. Matter of fact, I did shoot an outdoor wedding with the JVC 170U, and it did perform very, very well. But I know its limitations, and I know that for all the different types of video that I shoot, that it wasn't going to be able to do most of the type of work that I do. So I sold it. But for you, it may work. So anyway, that was a great question, man. I hope that helps you out. I really do. If it doesn't, let me know, man. I could do a follow-up video and elaborate on some more stuff. But, not knowing what your budget is, but what you're looking at, the JVC 170U, I know is I think it's $1295 new. And I think if you were getting it used, you might get it for like, what, $800 or something, $900, something like that. If you have that type of budget, there's so many other cameras that are going to give you that cinematic look. Man, you could get... There's so many cameras that are so much less money, and you could get good lenses with them, good audio equipment with them, and you just be way ahead of what you're looking at. So I know they won't have the fancy dials and switches that the 170U has, and anybody that knows me knows I really like video cameras over mirrorless and DSLR, but for certain things, the DSLR or mirrorless camera is going to be better suited. And that's just how it goes. Different tools to fix different problems. I mean, so this was way longer than I thought it would be, folks. But anyway, to anybody watching this, let's help him out. If you have some insight, if you have a good camera that you're thinking of that would be good for filmmaking, put it down in the comments. If you have a 170U and you've shot some films with that and you've gotten some great results, please share a link in the comments. I would love to see it. I know he would love to see it. Jahari would, and it would be very helpful to him. So please share it. Like I said, it's not a bad camera. It just really depends on what you are trying to do. So that's it, man. Maybe try renting it. Maybe buy it new, try it out for 30 days. You don't like it, return it, So anyway, there it is. Hopefully you guys found that helpful, and if you did, please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel because I'm always answering your questions. Sometimes I answer them in the comments. Sometimes I make a video just like this to go ahead and answer your questions. So please subscribe for more, and stay tuned because I have a cool little video coming out about the Parrot teleprompter, which is a portable teleprompter that you can attach to your DSLR, mirrorless camera, video camera, whatever you have. And it's really small and it's really cool, and I can't wait to show you guys. So stay tuned for that. I'm Mike Turner. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.